Bang! What the was that? Your heart's pounding, your mind's racing. You've heard creaks and knocks before, but this sound, this is different.
Is someone in here?
Totally different. And as much as you don't want to admit it, you know there might be somebody in your house. In the back of your mind, you've thought about this before. You've seen the stories, you've watched the videos, but deep down, you never really thought it would happen to you. Yet here we are, right now, living that nightmare. Your brain's going a million miles an hour. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then it hits you, the gun. Just yesterday, you went down to the gun store, you paid the money, you passed the background check, you bought that gun because this is the exact moment for the reason why you got that gun in the first place. And for a split second, you feel relief. You're terrified, but you feel a little better knowing you've got that gun. But then the truth comes crashing down. You don't have it. Not tonight, not in this moment, because in New Mexico, the state says you have to wait 7 days before you can bring it home. So now that fear, that panic comes rushing back with vengeance. The one thing you thought you had to protect yourself, it's locked away, not because of criminals, not because you failed the background check, but because the government decided your right to protect yourself has to wait a week. And that's not fiction. That was real life in New Mexico until just days ago. On August 19, 2025, the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals blocked the state's new law requiring a 7-day waiting period for gun purchases, ruling it likely violates the Second Amendment.
Good evening. A major ruling by a federal appeals court has blocked New Mexico's 7-day waiting period on gun buys.
And while some officials are disappointed, others are cheering the decision.
The 7-day waiting period narrowly passed in the 2024 legislative session.
Judges were split. One side said there's no historical basis for waiting periods, while others called it reasonable qualification on a sale. The governor claimed it's about saving lives.
Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham also released a statement on today's ruling, saying she was disappointed and, quote, New Mexico's waiting period law was carefully crafted to minimize gun violence while respecting Second Amendment rights.
In a 2-to-1 ruling, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled the law likely infringes on the Second Amendment and sent the case back down to a lower court.
Now, let's cut through the bullshit. You don't stop crime by forcing the victim to wait. You don't prevent violence by making sure the law-abiding are defenseless for a week. That's not safety. That's state-sponsored helplessness. They'll market this idea that waiting 7 days makes people calmer, more rational. But here's the raw truth. Criminals aren't waiting. Abusers aren't waiting. Stalkers aren't waiting. Only the law-abiding are stuck in the queue. And in that moment, the dead of the night, heart hammering, someone's breaking in, there's no cooling off. There's fear, chaos, and a desperate hope you don't die. This law is arrogant. It assumes violence will pause for courtesy. It won't. Look what happened to Carol Bowne. Carol was a 39-year-old hairdresser living in New Jersey. Her ex-boyfriend, a convicted felon with a history of violence, had already threatened her. She did everything right. She got a restraining order, installed alarms and cameras, and because she knew paper doesn't stop a predator, she applied for a handgun permit on April 21st, 2015. But she could not protect herself. 43 days passed. On June 3rd, as she waited for her permit to come through, her ex showed up at her home and stabbed her to death. Let that sink in. She followed every law, submitted every form, and New Jersey's bureaucracy failed her. This isn't caution. This is cruelty. And this is exactly why I push the message behind I am the militia. Because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you in that moment. Not the government, not a piece of paper. It's you. Second Amendment isn't about some far-off army. It's about the individual. It's about ordinary people having the right and the responsibility to defend themselves and their families when it matters most. That's why I created the I'm the Militia collection that I'm wearing right now. So I have them in hats, shirts, hoodies, basically gear that reminds you that the militia the founding fathers wrote about is you. You, me, Every law-abiding American who refuses to outsource their safety to the government that clearly doesn't care if you wait a week while danger kicks in your door. If you want to stand with me and send that message loud and clear, hit the link in the description section and check out the I'm the Militia collection, because you are the militia. Now, the plaintiffs in this case, Paul Ortega and Rebecca Scott, were forced to wait for their purchases, even after passing background checks immediately. For someone fleeing violence, that delay can be lethal. When someone's breathing down your neck, 7 days isn't reasonable. It's a death warrant. And we saw this play out in real time during the pandemic riots in California. People who had never thought about owning a gun before suddenly realized the police were stretched too thin. Stores were being looted and chaos was spilling into neighborhoods. So they rushed to the gun store for the first time in their lives, only to be told, sorry, you'll have to wait. They had the money, they passed the background checks, they were ready to take responsibility for their own safety. But the government's waiting period told them, not today. That's not protection, that's betrayal. And then supporters of waiting periods love to argue that these laws prevent impulsive self-deletions. But if that's the logic, why not stop at guns? Why not a waiting period for kitchen knives, prescription pills, ropes, cars, or alcohol? People use all of those to self-delete all the time. Yet the government isn't putting 7-day holds on any of those. No, they only put it on the tool that empowers you to defend your life against someone else, which tells you everything you need to know about what this law is really about. Here's the truth. Criminals don't wait. Violence doesn't wait. Fear doesn't wait. The only thing stuck in slow motion is your right to act. And if your rights can be put on hold even for a week, then they aren't rights at all. So tell me, is this law about safety or control? One thing's for certain and two things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.